Much like in any other Souls-like, strength builds are king, boinks are king. It is not different in No Rest for the Wicked. As you can see on the gameplay that you're always going to see in the background, this thing is a monster. And we basically are a tank, a damage dealing tank that is just so filthy to play. What are the strengths of this build? Well, lots of damage. It has one of the highest damage outputs that I have ever seen because on this game, because of the weapon. And yeah, we'll talk about the weapon a little bit later on. But also the poise damage that you deal to the enemies, the stagger potential that this thing has is just crazy. And the poise that you have yourself, the hyper armor that you have yourself while doing your attacks, the poise that you have on your character, that is going to be a major thing. So yeah, I mean, you're basically just a tank that kills everything in his path. Let's talk about the stats. We're going to begin with 26 health right here. This is giving me a total of 123 hit points, although you don't really need that much if you don't want to. As a matter of fact, if I could squeeze out some extra points in here and move them up over to strength, that's just, it would be ideal. Now the stamina, this is more than anything to fulfill our combos. If you want to complete the combos that you see me doing all throughout the rendition that you have in the gameplay backgrounds, then you are going to need quite a lot of stamina. And it's also nice to have some stamina regen on gear, armor. We'll talk about the armor a little bit later on. But the strength, now I haven't reached a cap. Like I said, if you want to squeeze out some health points right there to squeeze them into strength, that is something that you can most certainly do. As a matter of fact, with the health that we have on the endgame, you are going to be able to sustain quite a lot of damage. And it's kind of a, let's say, a mix or a blend or a balance between the healing items, not using too much expensive healing items, but also having enough health to survive like 3 or 4 hits. So that is what we're going to be using. And also we're going to be using heavy armor, which is why equip load is going to be so important. Our entirety of the character is going to have plate armor, meaning heavy armor. That is very much important because we need the heavy armor to sustain because of the low health that we have, per se, like some kind of a low health. We don't have that much health because we want to be investing points into strength to deal damage. Our attribute bonus right now, it's 44. We have a total of 90 total damage, which is just filthy. We'll talk about the weapon in a little while. We're using the Festering Earth, but the equip loads, we are going to need 30 points into equip load to be able to use the heaviest armor possible in the game of the highest tier. Now that said, we are going to need some extra perks from that armor, which is what we're going to be discussing about now. The armor that we are using is the plate body armor. It can really be any plate body armor that you would want to have. Right now I have a very good broken bow's mantle right there, which is again one of the heaviest armor that you have in the game. But even then, even though that I have like my 30 points into my weights right there, you're still going to need these little perks that you see right here, which is items weight decreased by 27%. Another thing that I like to have on my gear, my armor, is healing effects increased by 26%, because that means that I can purchase cheap healing items from the vendors and not having to waste my money that much into healing items that I can better be using to get better gear, to get better enchantments on my gear. So that is why I like to be using this kind of stuff. As you can see, I also have the Broken Bows Greaves. It doesn't necessarily have to be the Broken Bows sets. It's not going to give you anything if you're going to have the sets. But what you can see right here, for example, is that I have the item's weight decreased by 16%, so it's not that heavy. And I also have my healing effects increased by 16% right here. Also, I don't have like any kind of a good gloves right now for me, but I do have like these ones that give me percentage of health on killing enemies, which is always nice if you don't want to be using your healing items that much. And you also have the stamina regen increased by 11%. Like I said, this is not broken bow gauntlets. but it is going to be at the very end. It's plate gauntlets, plate gloves, so that is what you should be striving for. Now the star of the show, it is going to be our Festering Earth. The reasoning behind me using the Festering Earth instead of anything else, really, like you have very good weapons like the Governors, if you want to be using Sword and Shield, or you want to be using Axes, there's very good options and choices for weapons that you can most certainly be using for your character. The reasoning behind my Festering Earth is that it deals quite amazing damage, but that is not all. The reach on this thing when you dodge, that thrusting attack, it's just insane. It's not going to deal that much damage, but the range on this thing, it gives you so much safety because the weapon is so long. If you're using an axe, like I said, it is very much effective as well. They deal tremendous amounts of poise and stagger damage. But the thing is that with this guy that you see right here, you are going to see me dodging quite a lot. And you dodge backwards. You do not dodge towards the side of the enemies. You dodge backwards because when you do so, the range on this thing is going to give you so safe from the enemy. You can also be using just a regular attack from a very safe distance as they are approaching to you, and then you use the thrusting attacks. Like I said, the thrusting attacks are not going to be that special, not going to be that interesting, but at the end of the day they are going to be providing a little bit of an extra safety. Remember that you do have your hyper armor, you have your poise, you have high armor, so everything is just balanced out so that you have a perfect mix and blend between offense and defense. The best defense is a good offense. In this case scenario, we had both of the best worlds right here. One little mistake that I have right here with the weapon, and it's something that I should advise for you not to make yourself as well. You have like the extra deal 7% electric damage and the extra deal 22% plague damage. They do not stack. So if you're going to be slotting a gem in here, at least I haven't noticed with the numbers, I haven't noticed that they stack. I think that they don't stack. So just to be sure, do not add an elemental gem to your weapon if you already have elemental damage percentage base on your weapon. So that's something that you need to have in mind. Like I said, like the gameplay is just out there in the background. I'm not doing like anything that's special. I'm just sweeping through the floor of the enemies. Now the rings are a little bit more, I should like to say that a little bit more randomized. At the end of the day, I managed to get this agility ring, which I really like, that it decreases my stamina cost of my attacks by 18%. It gives me more attack speed, more movement speed, and then things like that. And also we have armor decreased by 13% and damage dealt by increased by 19%. This ring right here, it's not very much useful for this character per se, but I have this one right here because I'm planning on a different build that I'm going to be uploading tomorrow, which is actually quite nuts as well. It's something that I didn't know that it was going to work, but at the end of the day, yeah, this is our build right here, and this is what you should be striving for at the end game. Just as a little bit of a brief recap, let me give you the pros of the builds again. You have excellent hyper armor. You have excellent poise, meaning that on the gameplay loop you can be trading blows with the enemies without having to worry about that much because you have so much armor and you have so much hyper armor. If you manage to squeeze some health on kill, even if you're trading hits with someone else, they are not going to be dealing enough damage, as you can see, so that you can be gaining your health back immediately the second after you lose it. So even if you're trading with the enemy, it's not going to really matter that much. Now the range on this thing, again, it's just nuts. Anyways, if you like the content, like and never super appreciate it. Don't you today, you're a gorgeous and beautiful person. You're indeed a gorgeous and beautiful person. Have a lovely day, and goodbye.